there. Today we're going to talk about building recurring income, and we're going to approach it a little differently. We're going to talk about a step-by-step process to leverage your existing skill set into a new type, a new quality of income. So currently, most sales pros are on a monthly cycle where it's earn, it's reset, hustle, grind, close. To make money, you're putting your sales skills in the middle of that system, right? You have leads, you do your process, you follow your system. Out of the other end pop one-time checks in essence, right? What we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to simplify that process, amplify you just talking to qualified leads, and change the character of your income so that it's not reset income, it's recurring income. So you work once and you're paid again and again and again. It's asset-based income. It is recurring, residual, monthly recurring income, MRR. Okay. But first, I want to tell you about the one of arguably the world's best sports coach, Dan Gable is his name, Dan Gable, and he won every single one of his high school competitions, and he won every single one of his college competitions until the last one. At the time, Jim McKay was the top sports announcer in the world with the wide world of sports. And he had another appointment afterwards. So he talked Dan into doing the interview before the match as if he had already won the match. Well, Dan lost the match. Afterwards, he went on to win the gold medal. Not a single competitor scored a single point against him. And then he went to become head wrestling coach at Iowa, and they proceeded to dominate the sport for 23 years. I think they won 18 of the championship matches. Here's what's fascinating, and here's why I want to start with this. At the end of the match that he lost, the only match he lost in his high school college career, he was undefeated up till that point. After the match, this is what he said in his own words. He went into the audience. He was looking for one person. He looked that person in the eye and he said this: "I'm sorry. There are no excuses. It will never happen again." That's it. And then he went on to win gold. He went on to that incredible coaching career. Why am I sharing this with you? Hey, Paul, isn't this about like AI and making money? Yeah, but you will make money to the degree that you think. And so here's what Dan credits this to. At a very early age, he made the decision to not allow himself any excuses. That's what he attributes his success to. So when it comes to your income, my income, our income, we're obviously making excuses because we're not multi-bazillionaires, right? And if you say, well, Paul, I can't, that's not up to me. Well, then you're losing. When you don't take agency and control and ownership, when you're not the head and you're the tail, then you're losing. You have literally handcuffed yourself to mediocrity. The first step in success, whether it be with sales or selling, is ownership. And we focus on the things we can control and we allow no excuses. If you do that, it's already a done deal. It's just a matter of time. Here's another interesting story about Dan. One of my coaches was in a sauna with him way back in the day. And it was him and like 5 other guys. And the wrestlers asked Dan a question, Dan would answer. And then the next wrestler, Dan would answer. And they were very interested in hearing what he had to say. But after about 5 minutes, Dan did this. Put his fingers together, right? And he started rocking back and forth. And my coach at the time thought, man, that's freaking really weird. So all of the guys had to get out sooner than Dan. And my coach asked one of the other wrestlers who was on Dan's team at the time, like, what was going on there? And he goes, oh, Dan is very precise in everything he does. He will not leave the sauna until he counts 500 drips of sweat. Paul, I thought this was supposed to be easy. It is easy. It is simple if you get your thinking right. If you are confused up here, if your brain looks like a pile of Christmas lights, it's going to be very difficult to succeed in anything that you put your hands to. So here's how we need to do this. We need to have waffle head, not spaghetti head. Yay! Boo. Step one. It's think and grow rich. It's not anything else and grow rich. Okay? Step two. You need to understand that your skill set of converting, right? This represents a handshake, is the most valuable skill set on planet Earth, bar none. As me as a business owner, I have to sell my team on doing things. I have to sell my spouse. I have to sell my kids. Everything we do in life involves selling. Now, the mistake that people make, the trap that they fall into when they're trying to make a pivot or a shift or an adjustment is instead of zeroing in on what they already know, they go try to chase shiny objects. If this is a bridge, they build bridges halfway. Meanwhile, they already have everything they need to be successful. They already have it. They don't need anything else. Excuse me. They're good to go. They're golden, right? They only need what they already have. And when they lose track of that and they start to try to chase shiny objects, which typically we see manifests itself as binging YouTube, like looking at all these other systems, here's what happens. They take their energy and they do this. Okay? Well, let me try that. Let me look at that. Let me talk to this. Let me think about that. Here's where wealth and traction come from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, here's the takeaway. Excuse me. The size of your income, if you're diluted, is this big. The size of your income, when you're focused, is this big. Which one would you prefer to have? I was broke when I was here. I'm a multimillionaire when I'm here. And really, so is anybody else who I know who's successful. So there's opportunity cost when you're thinking that you don't have what you already need. That costs you very dearly. And when it comes to income and residual income, every month that goes by where we're not at goal is costing us that money. If it takes you 6 months to figure out how to generate 20K a month of recurring income, you just lost 6 times 2, 120 grand. You've just paid tuition to the school of not knowing. Seriously. It's called opportunity cost. So the diameter, the width of your income capacity is a function of your focus. And friends, you already have everything you need right here, right now, today. You know how to sell. You know how to communicate. You know how to close. You know how to be disciplined. You know how to execute. You know how to work hard. You don't need to know anything else. You just need to take that capacity and drop it into a system that does a couple things. Okay? Number one thing, it needs to be zero fulfillment. And that is where most people go wrong. Because right now they're geeking out on YouTube videos, they're geeking out on AI apps and AI this and AI that, thinking that is the pathway to money. Nothing could be further from the truth, friends. The nerds never make the money. Never. Never. It's the rainmakers that make the money. Guess what? You're a rainmaker. So you already have the capacity. Why would you go stand in the short person line? Nothing wrong with short people. Why would you put yourself in a position where you have less earning power? Don't listen to people that tell you you need to do all that. You don't. There's people. We can do it. There's other people that can do it. The most valuable skill set on planet Earth is the ability to sell. So it needs to have zero fulfillment. The way we do it, we do a simple 80-20 split. You bring deals to us, we'll do all the fulfillment. You keep 80%, we keep 20. Win-win. Okay? Now, obviously, we have a program around that because we can't just have any Tom, Dick, or Harry out there just selling all this random crap that is ridiculous. So there's a framework for it. And if you're interested in that, book a 15-minute call. Under this video, there's a place to do it. Leave your credit card in the freezer. You couldn't even get started, even if you wanted to. The first call is a fit call. We only work with a certain number of people. We don't say that as some false scarcity. That's the reality because we build out this next thing that I'm going to show you, which is the Ferrari of booking qualified appointments. I guess it's like a Ferrari SUV that they haven't designed yet. Because once you have the fulfillment solved, then what's the next thing you got to get solved? You got to take your calendar from this to this, which is full. I'll show you one of our reps' calendars. So this is today. They were off half the day. I'll show you another rep's calendar. He wasn't off today. Right? There's two kind of calls. There's your initial call, and then there's your second call. Your first call is your second call. So once fulfillment is resolved, then you just need to have some people to talk to. Paul, how do I talk to them? Real simple. You ask them a handful of questions about their business, and you look for strategically where their business is seeping profit that AI can seal very simply, very easily. Miss calls, right? A business that is missing calls or not handling them right, inbound calls, is literally burning money. If they miss 10 calls a week, their average conversion on inbound calls is 10%. Their average deal is 5K. They're losing 20K a month. One deal a week times 4, 20K a month. That deal flow had zero cost of acquisition. They like a deal that comes through a funnel or paid ads, you got to cover the liquidation of the ads. A missed call is just money that's burning. That's just one of the handful of things that our AI profit system does. So the conversation is really simple. It's you talk to them, You ask them some questions, you come alongside of them, you point at the new capacity, you ask if they want to demo it. 99% of the time they say yes. After the demo, you do a profit recovery plan and they're in. Like that's it. It's like shooting shooting fish in a barrel is a horrible example, but it's an accurate example. Not that business owners are fish. I'm just telling you, it's rolling the ball down the hill. You can pick up on that, right? In fact, we give you an AI we give you an AI demo, an AI partner that you can demo with verbally, so you're tuned in. It's a one-page script, and then we give you an AI companion that rides along with you on the calls, giving you real-time feedback, real-time insight. So I think we can agree that if you have a lick of sales, customer service, entrepreneurship, white collar business background, you can do that. So then the only gap is we can fulfill. So the only gap is getting you appointments, right? What would you do if, let me ask you this. Here's the $1 million question. Here's the multi-million dollar question for you. If you knew, if you knew, okay, Paul, if I knew what? I'm getting there. Let me get my stuff organized. If you knew that you had a switch that you could flick off, on, and turn on consistent, predictable, qualified lead flow throughput of business owners who are interested in AI. Man, I can't get rid of this crazy, silly thing here. Woo! Okay, you get the idea. And you could flick it on, populate on your calendar, wake up, talk to them. How would that change the dynamic of how you feel about your income? And and when you're doing the talking to them, you're building recurring residual deals. You're not doing one-off deals. How would you feel about your earning capacity? Probably pretty good. I'll tell you how I felt. When I figured that out, it was game over. I'm like, man, if I can do this one time, I can do this millions, and I have. And that's it. You already know how to sell. I think we can agree AI is a very disruptive offer, meaning it brings massive value. That's the economic equation, right? The more value you can bring, the more you can be reimbursed or remunerated for that value. So you know how to sell. We can deliver. The only gap now is how do we find people to talk to? Well, here's one thing that's freaking wild and crazy is OpenAI recently released their agent. You can actually sick the agent to go pull up a list of businesses, find the owner's information. You can prompt it to go look at business directories. Then you can prompt it to do creepily researched cold email writing. And then you can actually, the same thing will send the emails on your behalf out of your Gmail account. Yeah, we're there. The day before they release that capacity, you would have to spend about $1,000 a month on software. The day after, it's accessible. I had 6 of those going simultaneously. I was just doing some testing. So that's one really simple way, right? Just outreach. But here's what we do. We like to build an engine. So what's the engine? It's real simple. You have an ad. And by the way, in our system, we map this all out. We give you the ads, we give you the scripts, we give you everything. Ad, right? If you know anything about Facebook, if you don't, doesn't matter. We do one campaign, 3 ad sets, 3 ads. Super simple. The three ad sets are just 3 different pieces of targeting. That's it. And over time, you'll see which one of those takes off, which one of those is the loser. You'll sow more into the takeoff. Maybe you'll keep the middler. You'll kill the loser. That's it. Simple. I was just talking to one of my colleagues today, and they're getting booked calls for $14. Booked calls for $14. So the way the math works is let's say it takes you let's say it takes you 5 booked calls to get a deal. 5 booked calls to get a deal. And let's say that it takes you $100 to get a book call. That's $500 to get a deal. What's a deal worth? Let's say $5,000 up front. And let's say it's just a sappy deal. It's a 12-month contract of $1,000 a month. 12 plus 5, 17K, right? So when you subtract 500 from 17K, you can see that it's pretty much a better return than anything else you could invest in, quite literally. Okay? So that's the math. And it's important that you get clear on the math, because when we talk about ads, most people are like, "Oh my god, now I'm going to have to earmark an extra X a month." No, 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 no. You don't earmark X per month. You earmark a war chest to get you your first deal. And then you just take some of this baby and you put it back in there. And now you have a perpetual income machine that books you appointments on autopilot by flicking a switch. And then when you get too busy, you can hire a full-time sales rep to step into that. And now you're working less, making more, right? If you're doing part-time, making 10K a month, what happens if you bring somebody on to work 40 hours a week? Even if they're half as good, you could expect that one person to bring 20K a month, right? So we run ads into an AI system, and the AI system calls, the AI system texts, the AI system qualifies, the AI system demos, and now to the other end of the system are qualified appointments that you can talk to on the phone of people who know what is going on, who want what is going on, who need what is going on, and you can swoop in and you're their hero. They're naming their kids after you and donating a kidney to you, right? Because you bring so much value to the business in terms of P&L, which is the language of the business owner, but also in terms of peace, which is just as important to the business owner, but often it's not something that's discussed. So the business owner is freaking out about AI. They know they need to do something. Their team thinks it's the devil because it's going to lose their job. They're going to lose their job. The owner's worried about the competitors adopting AI, their market share. How's AI disrupting their cash flows from their clients or their customers? With, are they still going to have jobs? Is that business still going to be keep paying us? You can come in here, and that's actually what's surprising. That's one of the biggest things that we see when we install our Profit AI systems is the peace. And you do that right, and you're building a long-term asset. So again, we're here to help. Let us know. Book a 15-minute call if you want to. Don't if you don't. Like, subscribe, so you can get our updates. We do a live Q&A call every week in our Skool group, which you can get below and join. It's free. And let's rock and roll. You have got everything you need, friends. Just need a little focus. All right. God bless. We'll talk soon.